Hey everybody, I'm Lindsey Deluce. I'm here with Teddy Wilson and Matt Scooby. Welcome to CTV Your Morning, the podcast.
This week, we're looking at AI and healthcare, what you should and should not be using it for.
And supporting your child through the back-to-school transition, why you shouldn't be telling them to be brave and what you should say instead.
It's great to have you with us today, and you can join us live every weekday, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 7 to 10 a.m. Atlantic on CTV, CTV News Channel, and the CTV News app.
As Israel's war in Gaza escalates, a Canadian father is pleading for help to save his son.
22-year-old Mamdouh Abuzatan is starving and stranded in Gaza, desperate to reunite with his family here in Canada.
His father, Mahmoud, sat down with Anne-Marie in a very emotional conversation.
You shared that you've been trying to bring Mamdouh to Canada since 2021. What has the process been like? So, and just to remind everybody, in 2021, he would have been a teenager.
Yeah,
18.
it was 18 at that moment, like when I got approval to be a permanent resident, when I got approval to apply for permanent resident application, I include Mamdouh and his family, like my wife, my daughter, Mamdouh, and the two sons in the same application. And after that, the process takes time. I do understand what the meaning of the process, but the issue is it takes long time. So I said it's okay. Until now, 52 months for the application of Mamdouh and his mother and daughter and two sons. Until now, no response. So I got my PR in 2024. But the issue is now my family themselves, they don't have these papers. They don't have this PR. One of them, Mamdouh now, who is suffering from the war there in Gaza. I understand the process from the beginning, but what makes it difficult for me, that Mamdouh now is like under constant danger, which is great danger for him.
Can you describe for us, I don't even know, first of all, what communication is like with Mamdouh, how often you're able to reach him, because we know that about 70% of the communication systems on the ground in Gaza have been destroyed. What you've been able to learn, what is life like for him right now?
Yes, we are chatting with Mamdouh through the WhatsApp application. And this is the only way which we contact Mamdouh with. And this is like...
Is this him here?
Yeah, he is.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes.
It's all right. It's very painful to see these pictures. And just to, while you take a moment, well, explain to everybody, you've been going through this process for 4 years trying to bring him here.
He's a peaceful person. His only dream is just to finish his study and to start his new life. Join us here in Canada. But all these dreams distracted by the war.
He was a university student when he stayed there.
Yes, he was studying engineering, and at the same time, as I told you, Mamdouh, if he is not a peaceful person, he will be able to survive. He can't, because he is still no experience. This war, like 3 years now.
Yeah.
If you can imagine that, distract everything. Our home completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Mamdouh, his future, done. Now, at least we are looking for just to hold him. Just to hold this, as a father, it's hard to see my son in this situation. And
what does he share with you about what life is like for him now? Where is he staying? Is he able to access food? What does he need? What is he missing?
He misses everything now, because even access to food, it's need money. If we can afford for him the money, it's not easy to get this food. If he's going to this area which is they distribute food, he will not able to, because it's so dangerous. Now the situation in Gaza Strip is completely dangerous. In terms of war, this is one. Mamdouh, as I told you, living in constant danger related to bombing strikes everywhere. At the same time, the issue of hunger, which is starvation. Like, he can't find food. The access for food, if they go to, and you can see the reports, if they go to take anything for food, maybe will be killed for that. And at the same time, a lot of gangs in the streets now, Gaza full of militant persons. No one in Gaza are now safe. So my question is, who are able to see his son as a father in this situation?
Mahmoud, just to update everybody, so you have gone through the channels. He has been approved for immigration through Quebec. He is able to come to Canada. The issue is getting him out. If I understand that correctly.
applied, yes. I applied for Mamdouh once the war started in November. In October, I started in processing to bring him in Canada.
Yeah.
In the beginning of November. In 18th of November, they put his name on the list for evacuation through Rafah border. Unfortunately, he was not able to access the Rafah border at that moment.
And what's frustrating also about this is when he was first allowed to go to the border, because he was an 18-year-old male trying to leave Gaza, he could not get approved when the rest of the children could.
The beginning, when we started the process for the PR, we as a families, as Palestinian family in 2022, applied for our families from Gaza to come here to wait the PR with us here in Canada. And I appreciate Canada government at that moment, they issued for my family TRP. This TRP allowed my wife and my 3 kids to come here in Canada, but Mamdouh, because he was 18 years old, at that moment was not easy to coordinate, to be out of Gaza from Egypt borders. So for that reason, we were not able to send him. He said that I'll finish my study, okay, and then I will join you after get approval from the PR. Because, Baba, listen, it is like time. I will finish the study and I will join you. So that's okay. Let my mother and my sister go, and I will join you. He took this decision and said, it's okay, no problem. He waited in Gaza. Now he is trapped in Gaza. Because now his age is 23 years old. I do understand that, but we applied for him when he was 18.
I know. So where does it stand right now, and what do you need the government to do? How do you get him home?
I appeal everyone. I appeal the government. I appeal Mr. Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada. You are, as a father, can you see your son in the same situation like my son? And if your son in the same situation like my son, as a father, what you will do? That's the only question that I ask. I need their help. I appealed to the government of Canada to finalize the issue of PR application, or to issue the TRP for Mamdouh, or to evacuate Mamdouh as soon as possible. Because by this way, I think that if they give us a hand to hold our son again, we will keep appreciating them all life. At the same time, I ask the Minister of Immigration, Madame Lina Diab, and also the Minister of Global Affairs, Anita Anad. So, Madame Anita and Madame Lina, please, as a mother, they are mothers. So, if anyone can see his child like that, I'm not asking to do anything for me. Just only bring my son. Just only bring him here. Just first, PR application, 52 months. See this application, please. If there's not TRP, issue for him any paper just to leave him out of Gaza Strip. Because it's for me, it's like a nightmare. Everywhere, I can't,
Every news story, every headline. I can't imagine.
I can say one thing. How can I drink, for example, water? And I know that my son has no access for clean water, for food, for safety, for nothing. My son, 5 days ago, he was suffering from GIT. I'm a professional in public health, and I do understand what the meaning of GIT.
What is GIT?
It's gastrointestinal tract infection. So at that moment, the patient is suffering from something related to vomiting and diarrhea, and at least I was not able to tell him just drink clean water, or the temperature is high, no water for compressions. So how can I survive at that moment? How can?
Mr. Bouzatan, I know it is painful to sit here and have this conversation, talk about your son, and look at pictures of what he's experiencing right now. I appreciate you coming in and giving us a face to the plight that is happening for other families in this country. Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate. Thank you so much for receiving me today. And please, I wanted to send a message for all government. Please help my son to be evacuated from Gaza as soon as possible. not to hear the word of too late, because I don't want to hear this word. I need just to see my son. At the same time, for all people who like humanity, I am saying I'm not here as a father. I am pro-humanity and came in here for a humanitarian issue. So humanitarian issue is important. Please, if you see my petition, sign it and help me to raise the voice of my son to be evacuated as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've been talking a lot about AI recently, everything from, helping to book your flight to fighting wildfires.
But what about your health? We're taking a look at how AI tools are helping people take charge of their own health care, when to use them, and when it's potentially harmful.
Family physician Dr. Vera Kahoot joins us to break it all down.
Should we start with the good news? I think we should.
Yeah,
Let's start with the good news. So what sort of things can AI help patients with?
So AI can help with things like taking a symptom and asking about it. It can help with things like making medical information more usable. You get a result, you look at it, and it's medical jargon, right? It doesn't make any sense. So you can ask AI to translate it and make it layman's language. Same with things like blood results. You get them and you don't know, it's red, it's black, but you don't know what it means. It can be used as the chatbots can be used. They can be used to remind you to book an appointment. They can be used to help you track your blood sugars. It might be even really useful to get some general information on just wellness, well-being.
Yeah. You can have conversations.
Yeah,
Right.
it'll talk to you.
It'll talk to you. So what about what AI can't or shouldn't be used for?
So AI, if you think about it, is a machine that has been given information and then it gathers information from all of its interactions. So it's not nuanced, it's not personal. It's not looking at you, it's not listening to you. It's not in an environment where you're with a provider that's actually paying attention to what you're saying, what your body language is like. It doesn't have all of that information. So it's simply taking information from a block of data and pushing it in, and so therefore understand that it's not going to be necessarily about you. It also, if you ask a question, it may not be able to answer it properly, so it may hallucinate. It may give you kind of an answer, but it may not be accurate, it may be overgeneralized. Important to understand that as well. And finally, it's a product. And what it does is that it's the first step. I always say it's a first step to you self-diagnosing, but it is not the end result. It's not replacing your primary care provider that's going to be able to actually diagnose, look at the conversation, put it together, make a diagnosis, look at the lab results, or even bring in specialty consults. So it's not doing any of
I
that.
think about, we talk so much about how so many people in this country do not have a primary care provider. They don't have access to a family doctor. Could this help in that respect too?
Yes, it is. When you think about the fact that it's available 24/7, right? You can just go on there. So you can ask it about a symptom and it can be helpful. Or, for example, if you have a condition, you already have a condition and you want to know a little bit more about it, it can be very useful for that as well. It can be valuable because it is a first place to resource something that you might then want to go further and get some help with.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. So what about red flags when it comes to AI? What stands out for you?
So if AI starts to give you a diagnosis that's a single, like one thing, that's it, it's all it is. I go, no, it's not quite right. What about if it starts to say information that doesn't quite make a lot of sense? So it might be making it up. And it does, because if you ask it a general question and it can't really zone in with all of the information, it'll say things, well, more research is needed, or it frankly will just make something up. If it's giving you information that intrinsically doesn't make sense with what you're asking a question,
right,
or if it's not recognizing that you have a symptom and you're talking about something and it's escalating and it doesn't appreciate that there's a risk there, then beware.
Should I be concerned about entering sort of my personal health information into this?
By all means. Okay, look, that information that you enter in, it's going out into ether. Okay, so be aware of not putting out information that's overly personal. It's not private.
Yes.
It doesn't have that. It's not your doctor's office where the record is locked under key.
Right.
Okay, it's out there.
So be aware of that.
Whenever you load anything onto the internet, chances are it lives in a cloud that's owned by a U.S. tech giant. That means the vast majority of our intellectual property is held in a domain that doesn't belong to us. In fact, even the federal government shortlisted 4 American companies for a cloud computing contract before Prime Minister Mark Carney pledged to review it. So as part of our series that looks at how Canada can be more self-sufficient in this ongoing trade war with the United States, we're taking a look this morning at how we can shore up our cloud infrastructure. So joining us with more is technology critic Paris Max. Great to have you on the show.
Great to join you.
So what are some of the vulnerabilities Canadians could face uploading so much data to U.S.-owned cloud companies?
Yeah, so there's a number of things, right? And I would say the biggest is that the U.S. has this law basically called the Cloud Act that was passed in 2018 that allows the U.S. government to access any data that is stored in servers that are owned by U.S. companies. And a Microsoft executive recently admitted in front of the French Parliament that effectively if the U.S. asked for this data, they couldn't say no to it. So this proves to be a real vulnerability, especially when the government is storing things in those clouds as well.
It's also interesting when you get into information sharing, and we don't talk about this a lot, but when NAFTA was renegotiated into CUSMA, which is what we call it here in Canada, that also allowed for access between 2 countries to shared information, which I don't think a lot of people realize. We focus a lot on tariffs and trade, but your digital properties is also up for negotiation.
Yeah, definitely. The U.S. government has been really effective in using these trade deals in order to basically get concessions that are good for its tech companies, right? To try to limit the regulations that can be applied to them and to give them things that they think are going to be favorable. And of course, I guess at a moment when that was being negotiated, it didn't seem like such a big deal. But now that, we're facing this trade war from the United States, we're facing this pressure from U.S. tech companies to try to roll back the regulations that we do have. It's certainly something to be reconsidering, right?
Yeah, and pressure, which is what we're feeling here in Canada from some of those tech companies as we try to put in some policies and some barriers. Listen, U.S. tech giants like Google and Meta are developed and entrenched companies. We've got nearly 300 data centers right across our country, some of which are Canadian owned. So what would it take to leverage the Canadian ones more effectively?
Yeah, there are many things that can be done, right? Companies that are in Canada can look at actually trying to use those instead of, using Amazon servers or Google servers or Microsoft servers, for example. But like you were saying, the government also contracts with cloud companies in order to get access to the computing power it needs. It has some data centers of its own. It could obviously look at, contracting more with Canadian companies, which is something that Mark Carney suggested doing. But one of the things that I argue is that, if the government actually needs this kind of capacity, it should look at actually building out more data centers of its own to serve its needs, right, and to serve Canadians.
If we look back, as the internet went public, it was left largely up to the private sector to develop. So if Canada further develops its own cloud infrastructure, you want to see a version that's different from what most of us use right now. So what would that look like?
Yeah, I think it's really about thinking about, in the 90s when this was happening, the idea in government was that more and more should be left to the private sector. And that really shaped the approach that we have to the internet today. And I think that there's an opportunity now, not just to think about building out a public cloud, right, that is not shaped by the need to deliver profits to shareholders, but by thinking about what's best for the public good. And then that could potentially be a platform, a jumping off point to think about what, services developed in the, for the social benefit, for broader people, if we think about, the public services that we have, instead of just having everything shaped, as much as possible by the need to return shareholder value. And that could potentially lead to, different ways of developing platforms and services that maybe, would deliver some benefits.
Prime Minister Mark Carney pledged to review the federal government's cloud computing contract that shortlisted 4 American companies. Since taking office, do we know what action has been taken on this file?
No, I haven't heard an update on that. Maybe there has been one that I've missed. But, certainly the government has been active on the tech file. I would say not necessarily in the way that I would like. We saw the rollback of the digital services tax. We see the AI minister talking about not doing as much regulation on AI. So it's certainly been trying to appeal more, I think, to the tech companies, even as, we're trying to negotiate this new relationship with the United States.
This is CTV Your Morning, the podcast, where we share some of the fantastic conversations we've been having on our show. Join us live on CTV every weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 7 to 10 a.m. Atlantic on CTV, CTV News Channel, or the CTV News app.
Okay, we're talking back to school. It can stir up big feelings, and you're probably feeling them right now because I said back to school. But also for kids heading back into the classroom and adjusting to a new normal. This transition, we know it can bring anxiety, overstimulation, sometimes resistant, especially for neurodivergent kids or kids who are sensitive to disruption. So how can we, as parents and caregivers and adults in their life, help? Our next guest has some great tips. We've got parenting expert Vivian Maraki back here to share. Great to have you back.
Oh, it's so good to be back.
So what does nervous system overload look like in kids? Because I think sometimes this can show up as bad behavior, or what we would call bad behavior, but you say that these are actually signals.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they're absolutely signals. Sometimes the overload is the nervous system acting out, and it can show up in different ways, not just panic or overwhelm, but sometimes shutdown, meltdowns, irritability, even stomach aches or refusal to go to school. And the important thing is to look at those as signals, because that's them signaling to us, because they don't always know what's going on and they don't always have the vocabulary to say, there's something going on and I feel overwhelmed and I don't know what to do with it. So the most important thing is to support them through it, not punish, but actually to create space for them to explore that with you, for you to say, it's okay and I'm here with you.
One of the greatest things I ever learned as a parent was, like, most of the time I don't even know what's going on with my own body. How are they supposed to know that? And that empathy really changes how you approach situations like this.
It absolutely can.
We know that back to school is a big shift in schedule. I think for a lot of people, it's like earlier bedtimes, it's earlier wake-ups, and then having to be back on a calendar and a really routine scheduled. So this can be especially disruptive for kids who are neurodivergent or for sensitive children. How do we help support kids who might need a little more extra TLC?
Mm-hmm. So the way that I think, just to simplify it the most, is transitions are best supported with more time, more space, and more rhythm. And so it's about reintroducing those rhythms earlier. So it might be looking at maybe the week or two before school, bringing in some of the routines, like taking that walk to that school, the similar walk that you would do, spending some time at the playground if they're younger kids, reintroducing lunch boxes, perhaps, just to get them used to eating from a lunchbox again. Some of these things, recognizing that can't always be done, but it's what you can do, and giving more space and time. And then once school starts, it's actually the same thing. It's not overbooking your schedule, because it can get really busy with after-school activities. Just taking a little bit of your foot off the gas in that regard and giving them the space where they can come home and have a safe place and a soft place to land, and help them co-regulate and say, I'm here.
I love that. How many times have we all said to a kid, be brave? I mean, I've said it a lot. You say that this can backfire. So how so?
Yeah, so it's always with good intentions that we say be brave, and it sounds really encouraging. But in reality, what it can actually signal is, it's not okay feeling what you're feeling right now. I want you to show me this other thing, that your anxiety or your fear is misplaced. In actuality, it's not, especially for a child. And the interesting thing is that when we support them in co-regulation and we say instead, I understand this is hard. I can see that you're nervous or you're afraid, and I'm right here. You got this. It's so different.
Oh
you're
God,
probably the way it landed.
Made me want to cry. I was like, yes, you are here with me. Thank you. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's
just
different.
Such a simple shift there. Yeah. Okay, so you've got a 30-second ritual to calm nerves at the door. Walk us through what this looks like.
Yeah, so I actually have a lot of rituals. I'll share one or two. One of them I call the anchor hug. So you get down on their level and you ask them, would a hug help? Or you ask them, would you like a hug? And then you hug them, but not like a normal hug, but you squeeze right around their chest. And what this does is it helps to trigger the parasympathetic nerve system to help to de-escalate and calm them down. Another really simple one is simply put your hands up like this, have them press against your hand, or even them go like this. They can do it themselves. And this is a somatic practice that helps to bring more regulation and a feeling of safety and stability. So really simple.
I love that. We do that pushing hand one after school with one of my kids who just often comes home feeling really like tangled up inside, and helping him to just push and work hard calms that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Chills him out. I know it varies kid to kid, but is there a general time frame that parents can kind of hold in their back pocket of like, okay, we're through the routine and now things feel normal? What's like the end line there?
Yeah, so I think that the main thing to remember here is every child is going to be different, every family is going to be different. There really isn't a generalized expectation, but at the same time, I think what's important is knowing what's best for your family and when you feel like you've exceeded your own threshold of support. And if you do, then go get that extra support. It could be a couple weeks for some families, but for some it could be even months. And I think when we're starting to look at months, it may be time to get some extra support to help, bring in other strategies to help your child adjust.
Oh, I'm going to say it. Summer break, everybody. It's almost over.
Oh, Lindsay, why'd you say it? To help ease that transition to back to school season, though, we got a little help from Vicki Van Sickle.
Here's some of her book recos that will get your young readers back in learning mode without all those eye rolls.
One of the most fun parts, I think, of back to school is the new back to school look or an outfit. So the first picture book is called I Need Pants, which is a great title, but it's even funnier when you realize that it's a fish that would really like some pants.
Vicki, I'm not an evolutionary biologist, but as far as I know, fish do not wear pants.
That is correct, and that is an argument made in this book by that very octopus, actually. So this is a really fun read aloud. Again, if kids are nervous, a really fun book can sort of help you get into the vibe of it, and it's very much about self-expression and individuality, which I think is a great thing to have going into the new year. The next two books are sort of in the category of picture books that can really help with somewhat difficult conversations. So Mia Wears Orange is about a girl who comes back from school having first learned about the residential school system. And she has a lot of questions. She's very worried. She is Indigenous, her family is Indigenous, and she wonders what this means for her family. So what follows is this very sensitive conversation between her and her mother about what she can do and how they can deal with it, which I think is a really great conversation starter. It can be used in classrooms, at the home, and just a really great addition to how we're dealing with the history of that in our country.
Yeah, well said. What's third?
The next one is A Single Dreadlock. This is about a boy who moves from Jamaica to Nova Scotia, and he misses a lot about home, including his grandmother, who was really good at helping him with his hair. And his classmates are not really handling his hair well. There's a lot of teasing. It makes him feel a bit of shame. But his grandmother comes to visit and sort of tells him about his hair, why he should be proud, and he's able to stand up for himself and sort of come to a new understanding with his classmates. So there's definitely teasing that happens, and I think this is a book that handles it really, really well.
Oh, the three great selections there. And next up are two chapter books. So this is like age kind of 5 to 9.
That's right. Emerging readers starting to read on their own. They're both in series. The first one is Jojo McCoon's. This is a series about sort of the daily life of an Ojibwe girl on a reservation. She's very effervescent. She has a lot of personality. And in this book, Rule School, she's maybe having some trouble with a substitute teacher who has a different idea of rules than she does, which is, again, something I think a lot of kids can understand. And then Lark wraps it up. This is about twin detectives. They're trying to solve the case. It's a very gentle mystery of a missing quilt. What I like about mysteries for this age range is if you're struggling to read or it's difficult, a mystery, the suspense of a mystery can make you want to keep going.
I never thought of that.
You want to know the answer. And so I think mysteries are great for this chapter book age.
Oh, that's great. And 3 selections for slightly older readers.
Slightly older. So now we're in the 9 to 12 range. The Sustainable School, I know it looks like a picture book. It is sort of structured like that, but it's definitely for older kids. It's about a grade 6 class who finds a time capsule from when the school was built in 1900. And they use it to compare and contrast what the school was like, what the sustainability was like, and it has so much information. This book is jam-packed with information, and I think it's going to make kids want to make a time capsule for sure, but also inspire teachers to do some really interesting history in their own schools.
I'm fascinated by time capsules. Our family did one years ago, one of the coolest experiences of my life.
I've always wanted to do one, so this was really up my alley when I was reading that. The last two are 2 more mysteries. I was in a real mystery kick when I was looking at this list.
Love that.
Something's Up with Arlo combines sort of the new kid in school trope with a ghost story. So Arlo is the best friend of Nero. They've always gotten along. Nero is a person, Arlo is a ghost, but something is wrong with Arlo, and it starts to get a bit scarier and a bit spookier as the mystery goes on. And the last one is The Mizzy Mysteries is a new series. A Skeleton in the Closet is the first one. It's about a girl who loves mysteries, and she's staying with an aunt aunt, discovers some diaries from a family. There's a family secret. And what I really like about this series is the main character has Down syndrome. It's not addressed as something that is an issue or something to overcome. It's just part of her personality. Everyone treats her with respect. She's a really great detective and ends up solving the course. And you don't often see that in mysteries. So really love Mizzy. I think readers are going to love Mizzy. And again, can't go wrong with a mystery.
Oh, I love that. Love when you're here. There's no mystery to the fact that you kind of introduced these amazing books to everybody.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for being here. It's wild to be talking about back to school time already, isn't it?
I know. I can't believe it.
The days of staying at one company for decades and working your way up the ladder appear to be lessening. Instead, people are choosing a career playground approach to grow in their professional lives. So what is that? To walk us through what a career playground really looks like and what this means for the workforce, we are joined by certified career strategist, Chi-Chi Abo. Great to have you on again. Welcome back.
Thank you.
What is a career playground? What does that mean?
Yeah, a career playground is just a new way of thinking about growth, right? So imagine you're a kid on the playground. You can climb up the stairs to go to the top of the slide. That's a traditional career path. Or in a career playground, you're gonna grab onto the monkey bars, deepening your experience, play in the sandbox. So a career playground is not choosing the traditional career path, but looking at opportunities where you can explore skills, experience, stretch projects, and tap into adaptability and curiosity that can benefit you in the long run.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper, because when we look, there's a recent study out that says it found 56% of workers want to switch careers, not stick with that one path, at the one company. Why are more people choosing this route, do you think?
More people are choosing this route because there's so many barriers just to get to that traditional career path. When you think about it, we actually look at a physical ladder. Not everyone can step on that ladder. There's not enough space. So not everyone can be in management given the number of roles. Not everyone should be, and not everyone wants to be.
Fair enough.
Right? And so we see people being forced into management when they don't want it. So how about we look into the career playground mindset of tapping into different experiences and skills and opportunities that you could explore. And Gen Z is actually 56% of them in Canada right now are not interested in the traditional hierarchy. They want more of a traditional individualized career path because it makes them feel more nimble, flexible, and adaptable to the evolving changes of our economy and what's happening with technology all around the board.
Question though, I'm just thinking about somebody starting out. Are we talking about people who are switching careers entirely, or just sort of gaining skills as they bounce from one job to another as they work up?
Yeah, it could be both. So if you decide to play in the play zone of I'm switching my career, that is how you're choosing to do it. But before you get there, it's likely that you're tapping into different experiences and projects and skills that make you realize, actually, my traditional path that I'm on is not for me. Let me do something more nonlinear because I'm more happier and engaged when I'm tapping into different skill sets and strengths rather than just going the one same route. So it's a bit of both, but before you get to do that change, it's likely you're playing around with different experiences and exploring.
If you are the employer, how can you create an environment where this is sustainable for workers?
Yeah, well, one, change your definition of what growth means in the workplace. It's not just promotions and titles, right? So it's about looking at, well, what are the stretch projects, the lateral moves? How can we help people deepen their skills and experience and compensate them for it, right? A promotion shouldn't be the only way where you can raise your salary. Secondly, celebrate more than just when someone gets a promotion. So if someone takes the initiative to take a course, a certification, or join a cross-functional project and make an impact, honor that, celebrate that, and that can bring in that career playground mindset into the workplace.
What sort of benefits can come from taking this kind of approach, this playground approach to your career?
Well, first off, we see a few groups that are marginalized benefiting from it. When you think about it, newcomers and immigrants, they are coming with their experience from abroad that a lot of organizations don't necessarily recognize in a Canadian context. So they have to adapt and find transferable skills to get them into the workplace. So they're suddenly on this non-linear career path. So naturally tapping into the career playground works for their circumstance, as well as for mothers, caregivers, people have to take pause off of work to raise a child or take care of a sick family member. They're suddenly off of this linear career path and now they're non-linear. So that means, okay, I have to tap into that career playground mindset, explore different opportunities that I can tap into to transfer my skills from my other job or career previously. So those are the benefits on that side of things. It makes them adaptable and flexible. And as an employer, you want your employees to be adaptable, flexible, and curious, and to go with the changes, especially now with AI, new technology, rapid skills changes, you want folks who say, you know what, I want to learn, I want to explore, I want to play in the sandbox or jump on the slide or grab the monkey bars. I want to have this career playground mindset for the long run.
This topic of conversation was a very heated debate up in our newsroom on Friday, and it went on for like 30 minutes, so we're going to bring you into it too. When you go out to eat, you might ask your server if you can maybe swap or substitute a dish or an item on the menu, but some restaurants and shops are very much against this.
Here's why some restaurants ban substitutions. Number one, they try to keep the integrity of the food. It was made that way for a reason. Number two, kitchen efficiency. The menu and the kitchen are designed together. If something is off, then the whole line is off. It's just a cluster. Number three, simple accommodations, no lettuce, no tomato. Nobody's gonna care about that. Here's why some restaurants
so
ban
a chef from a sandwich shop in Detroit goes on to say simple substitutions like no lettuce, no tomato, that's fine. But it just becomes an issue when you look at the menu and like it's your own personal shopping list. So where do you draw the line when you make accommodations for your order? We have a poll up, by the way. You can join in on the conversation. Do you make food substitutions at a restaurant when you order?
That's a great question. And maybe we should take like religious or cultural or like legit food allergies out of it. Because those things are like legitimate.
We're talking preference.
Yeah, preferences and taste.
I'm not typically a substituter. I worked in the restaurant industry for a really long time. I genuinely really like food. And if this show has taught me anything, is that I don't always know how good something's going to be. Yeah. So I just trust and I just eat it. And I also think like I've got pretty broad taste. But I also can make a case for it is so expensive to go out. And when you are going out, it is very rare to find something on a menu that is less than $20 at even like mediocre restaurants. Yeah. So if you are spending like in a group more than $100 on your meal and you like more mushrooms than another dish offers you, I say all the power to you. And it is the server's responsibility or the kitchen's responsibility. No. They don't want to do it to just say, no, we don't do that. Yeah. But if you haven't put that rule out there, substitute all you want. I don't care.
So the cost of limitless, ubiquitous power is $100. That should entitle you to do whatever you want. It's $100? I don't know. What do you think? Because I have strong views on this.
Okay, I want to hear your strong views. Go.
Well, here's the thing. Personal growth is very important. So for my whole life, I was a substituter. And like you, I worked in bars and restaurants. And a lot of people you find who have worked in the business probably don't like substitutions, but I was an inveterate and chronic substituter until I met my partner. We've been together for 7 years, and the sources of most of our conflict in the early days was me asking for modifications at restaurants. For example, we both like Eggs Benedict, and sometimes for her, it's because she worries that they might get the orders confused. I like my hollandaise on the side. She likes it on the eggs. A couple times we went out for brunch. I asked for it on the side. She got it on the side. A little bit of a tiff ensued, I'm not gonna lie to you. And her whole point is like, listen, they know what they're doing. The dishes are here for a reason. Trust in them. Give yourself over to the expertise. And unless you have an allergy or something, just roll with it because your mind might get expanded and you might like it. And now I never ask for substitutions, except the hollandaise, because I don't want an egg and hollandaise soup. That's why.
Okay. You got shamed into not being a substitute.
Wow. So shamed. Well, I'm a conflict avoider.
So I was sharing this earlier, and if she's watching, she's going to know who she is. And if my friends are watching, they know who this is. We have a friend. We have been very dear friends for a couple of decades. I have never gone to a restaurant where she's not ordered a full substitution. I'm talking extra vegetables, specific sauces, like a full thing.
Eat at home.
And I am mortified every time.
Yeah, you should be.
But she's like, to your point, she's like, I'm paying for it. I want it to taste good. I want to enjoy this meal, and I'm gonna ask. No. And the thing is, they accommodate her every time.
Really? But you don't hear what they're saying in the kitchen.
Well, right, and that's my whole thing. I'm like, that, I don't know. I'm sure that spit has ended up in a dish sometime.
Those machines, like, I don't know if Macros is still the machine. This was the system we used forever. They literally have buttons that say, like, no onion, more mushroom. Like, it's all programmed. So if you're gonna program it, I'm gonna order it.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Don't forget to download or hit subscribe to CTV Your Morning, the podcast, wherever you're listening to us right now.
And of course, join us live every weekday morning on CTV, CTV News Channel, and the CTV News app. Start your morning with us.